This year, 2019, marks the 150-year anniversary of the University of Nebraska. What a momentous occasion, and what an incredible opportunity to reflect on all the amazing things that have happened in that time frame. 150 years, by any measure of the imagination, is a long time. It spans 6 generations, and I know it's hard for us to put into the context of our great-great-great-grandparents' time, putting back to the time that was at the end of the Civil War. Imagine the bravado, the courage, the creativity, and the outright grit that our founders had to have to establish a university in 1869 in a new state, in a new town with very few people and even fewer resources. How fitting and exciting it must have been for the confluence of such newness to have come together in this special place, named for one of my personal heroes, the president who had signed the Morrill Act, passed only 7 years earlier during one of the most challenging times in our young country's first century of history. The Morrill Act, along with the Homestead Act and the emergence of the Transcontinental Railroad, opened up Nebraska and the West, making way for people to establish livelihoods on their own terms. The new state of Nebraska was granted 136,080 acres by the federal government, from which to fund and build what was to become the state's land-grant comprehensive People's University. We can only imagine that the air sparked with the sense of opportunity, new land, new rail linking east to west, and the opening up of advanced education to the public. Our founders and our national leaders of that time were big thinkers, especially in bringing to the idea here of having publicly accessible higher learning for the masses. The Morrill Act, or the Land Grant Act as it would come to be commonly known, was truly revolutionary, designed to promote the liberal and practical education of the industrial classes in the several pursuits and professions of life. It challenged all of the conventional thinking leading up to that time. It was bold, it was audacious, it was risky, and it was visionary. And it imagined more prosperity and inclusivity for all through the diffusion of knowledge. Nebraska had already embodied this from the start when, as a newly established state in 1867, it did so on the premise of the state's enduring motto, equality before the law. And Nebraska's leaders knew then that this new state would be visionary if the university grew up alongside it, and that it would be an investment, not a cost, for generations to come in the future, not just them or their children, but generations to come across time. Little did they know how much the state's future would be directly dependent throughout its subsequent history on what they sought to establish. Unlike the path followed in most other states, one comprehensive university, where the state university and the state agricultural college shall be united as one institution. Robert Knoll captured the essence of this in his 1995 book that we're familiar with, The Prairie University, where he wrote, "The original charter deserves close examination, for it broadened the provisions of the Morrill Act. It specifies that the object of the University of Nebraska shall be to afford the inhabitants of the state the means of acquiring a thorough knowledge of the various branches of literature, the sciences, and the arts. This institution was established for the inhabitants of Nebraska. It was to reach out to all people, not just youth or the privileged class. It was explicitly inclusive. Section 18 of the original charter reads, "No person shall because of age, sex, color, or nationality be deprived of the privileges of this institution." It was left to pioneering chancellors Benton and Fairfield to chart the unconventional course of a new three-part or three-legged mission of teaching, research, and outreach. Classes were first offered in 1871 by 5 faculty for 130 students, 110 of whom were in Latin preparatory school, only 20 who were pursuing collegiate work, 7 of whom were women. All enrolled in the College of Literature, Arts, and Science, the original of the first of 6 colleges called for in the charter. Campus consisted of a single building, the original University Hall, which was the center of the early life of the university. From these humble and meager beginnings, in each of the subsequent 6 generations up to the current day, our predecessors confronted pressures, they confronted challenges from outside forces by employing vision and courage, furthering the ongoing transformation of the university to meet the emerging needs of our state, nation, and world. I'd just like you to quickly walk through, generationally, the history of the university with me, if you will. Imagine the silver 25th anniversary of the university, celebrated in 1894. Nebraska had emerged as one of the big 4 state universities, along with California, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Chancellor Canfield oversaw a growth spurt with 40 faculty, nearly 1,500 students, and the addition of the Culver Farm on Holdridge Street. Walking the campus at this time were Nebraska luminaries such as Louise Pound, Willa Cather, future Governor George Sheldon, future Dean of Harvard Law Roscoe Pound, founding botanist Charles Bessie, future Chancellor Samuel Avery, amongst others. The medical college had taken off in the 1880s. The Agricultural Experiment Station had been founded in 1887 with the implementation of the Hatch Act, and Nebraska football had officially arrived in 1890. Dorothy Canfield, precocious daughter of Chancellor Canfield at the time and a future novelist, tried to capture the vibe of the time when she wrote, "Above all, it was new. It was crude because it was new. And because it was new, both town and university had the iridescent glamour of life beginning, for which almost anything is possible because little has yet been tried. The very air over the campus was glittering bright with what might be." Imagine 1919 as the university reached its golden 50th anniversary, led by Chancellor Avery in a difficult time in the university's history, punctuated by 3 major challenges. The first was what to do with the physical campus. The student population had outgrown the original deeded 4-block city campus, and the buildings were described as decrepit. Charles Bessie had advocated moving the university to the East Campus on Holdridge Street, but this was opposed by city business leaders, resulting in an expansion east to 14th and north to U Streets. The second controversy occurred in relation to un-American anti-war sentiment of faculty during World War I. And even though the Great War had ended the year prior to the anniversary, the immediate time period ahead saw a rapid decline in financial support for the university as the farm economy struggled. The state-elected leadership was unwilling to invest in the future, while at the same time the university enrollment was mushrooming to 7,000, on its way to 12,000 by 1927. Imagine the 75th Diamond Anniversary in 1944, capping a generation of economic and academic depression. The combination of the stock market crash of 1929, followed by the Dust Bowl era of the Great Depression, Prohibition, and resulting social mores, and then capped by the fighting of World War II, made for a tough row financially for the university, with major budget reductions in the face of increasing student numbers, lagging faculty salaries, and subsequent loss of talent. Conflict between the College of Arts and Sciences and emphasis on the emerging professional colleges was about to erupt. Said Chancellor Avery in 1922, "I can imagine Dr. Benton speaking of the infant university, Dr. Fairfield on the growing university, Dr. Canfield on the booming university, Dr. McLean on the great university, Dr. Andrews on the modern university. But all of these periods are past, and there seems to be nothing now to do but to talk about the university in retrenchment. Tuition and fees began for the first time in 1923 at $1 per credit hour, as the university could not support itself solely on state funds. Nonetheless, there was notable progress in academically organizing the university, setting the stage for more directed research. The Prairie Schooner was established, the Nebraska Union was built, and of course, football continued to build unity for the state, both as a source of pride and obsession. Chancellor Burnett rightly recognized that support for the university was going to need to come from more than the state appropriation, and thus the idea leading to the establishment of the University of Nebraska Foundation was born. While enrollment had declined to fewer than 5,000 students at the time of the 75th anniversary, much due to the war, this was to quickly change as the war ended a year later, and more than double that number arrived in 1946, with over 2/3 of the new students arriving under the GI Bill. New opportunities clearly appeared to be on the horizon. Imagine the centennial mark in 1969 under the leadership of Chancellor Cliff Hardin. No other 25-year period parallels the expansion experienced in this generation of the university's history. Exponential growth in funding became available from the federal government for research, a booming post-war economy, a significant increase in college attainment under the GI Bill, and substantial increases in support from the state of Nebraska, primarily under Governor Frank Morrison, drove the enrollment of the university up to 19,000 students. Believe it or not, there was even talk of capping enrollments for the first time. This was a time of great civil unrest, with anti-communism and the Cold War, the dawn of civil rights, groundswell for equal rights for women, beginnings of government social programs, the beginnings of the environmental movement, and the growing controversies surrounding the Vietnam War. In 1961, the retirement benefits were offered to faculty for the first time. Major expansion of the physical campus occurred during this period, both in Lincoln and across the state in the Agricultural Experiment Station, which was really no coincidence, as Chancellor Hardin came in 1955 from a great land-grant tradition at Michigan State and Purdue and desired full engagement and connection to the entire state. The iconic Sheldon Art Museum next door here was constructed. It also was the period where Husker athletics emerged as a preeminent force, with Devaney's period of dominance soon to lead to the 1970-71 national football titles and an arrival of a person named Tom Osborne on the scene. And just as this generation was ending, the University of Nebraska system was created, as Omaha University was brought into the University of Nebraska to join the flagship campus in Lincoln and the Medical College in Omaha. A special aspect of the 100th anniversary was the development of an innovative concept called the Centennial Educational Program, commonly called Centennial College. This interdisciplinary early learning community individualized approach eventually led to the University Honors Program in the late 1980s. Many of you were here as the university reached its 125-year milestone in 1994, which was a time of rapid change and growth for the university, extending its reach globally. The university system had added the UNK campus. The Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources at UNL was consolidated across the state in 1972. UNL's enrollment peaked in 1981 at just over 25,000 students, and the graduate program had grown substantially from an influx of students from all over the world. New research areas were developed, particularly in agricultural life sciences and biotechnology arenas. This beautiful facility, the Lead Center for the Performing Arts, was opened as a venue for the campus, the city, and the region. Two of our senior academic leaders of the campus were for the first time accomplished women scholars. Joanne Leitzel, leading academic affairs, and Priscilla Grew, leading research. To the dismay of UNL faculty, salaries experienced a period of significant loss relative to peers, as the budget challenges in the 1980s were due to what was one of the worst in modern times agricultural economies. Continuing its dominance, Husker athletics was now truly a dynasty, uniting the state with pride, with major national success in football and volleyball, track and field, bowling and gymnastics, amongst others. Which brings us to the present, to 2019, and the close of now this latest generation in our history. Led for 16 of those 25 years by Chancellor Harvey Perlman, it was a time marked in remarkable growth in creative activity across all 9 now of our academic colleges at UNL. Research expenditures tripled, which led to being ranked amongst the fastest growing comprehensive research universities in the country in the last decade, along with an expansion of commercialization of intellectual property and philanthropic support. Significant physical expansion of the campuses occurred, and growth in enrollment and stature were experienced in agricultural sciences and natural resources, business, fine and performing arts, journalism and mass communications, and law, with overall enrollment reaching an all-time high in 2017. Significant physical expansion of the campuses occurred to match this growth, including substantial building in university housing, campus recreation, the Van Brunt Visitor Center, Jackie Gaughan Multicultural Center, Othmer Hall, Morrison Life Sciences Research Center, Jorgensen Hall, Prem S. Paul Research Center at Whittier School, Hawks Hall, Veterinary Diagnostics Center, Brace Hall, Balin Research Laboratories, and the Student Health Center at UNMC College of Nursing. Joining the Big Ten Athletic Conference and Academic Alliance in 2011 was a major step forward, bringing us into a league with the most prestigious group of primarily public universities in the country. And the university brought to life Nebraska Innovation Campus on the former state fairgrounds to foster public-private partnerships, successfully opening phase 1 of a 25-year master plan in 2015. This was a generation marked by great success in continuing to lead the nation in academic and life skills success, reaching a total of 333 academic All-American athletes in 2018, as well as amazing growth of facilities and financial support. Now, I know this has been a quick kind of walk through those 6 generations, a snapshot, if you will, review. But I hope that it describes for you and helps you wrap your head around how intertwined the university and the development of our state has been over these last 150 years. Now, I know you're all familiar with the inscribed quote on Memorial Stadium, attributed to one of the most famous of all Nebraskans, William Jennings Bryan, from over 100 years ago. And you're familiar with that quote. It says that destiny is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. The choices we make today are not just for us, for the generations in this room, or for the generations of our students in our classrooms, in our recital halls, in our studios, in our labs, in the field today. It's for the generations that are yet to come. And just as we stand on the shoulders of those who came before in these 15 amazing decades, they will stand on ours. What an awesome responsibility and opportunity. There truly is no place like dear old Nebraska U.